Welcome to the Call to Defend live stream where you have two powers sitting in front of you. I'm Caleb Elliott, and this is Josh Davis.
Wasn't ready
Oh
for
man.
that. That's not that funny. Wasn't ready. What in the
I am
world?
cooking tonight. I am cooking tonight.
Oh, I'm about to cook a whole lot tonight. Be a good night. It's gonna check the levels.
I'm feeling good. Made some positive life decisions, so I feel like I am ready to cook tonight. And well, I say that it's mostly just going to be me sitting listening to your presentation. But
Well, I mean, so like I have a presentation put together for this, but at the same time, well, let's go with this. The ground rules are gonna be this. I don't know if our wonderful friend is gonna show up. I don't think he did even last time.
he has not
Maybe
in a
he did.
while. No, he did not.
I don't know if he showed up.
Thursday or Tuesday. So,
Yeah. So I don't know if we'll get any more of those. I don't know if I put in the information that's going to make people like of his circle show up right initially, because it's not as blatant in terms of like. I just freaking muted myself.
I was going to say,
It's not
boy,
as
you just
blatant.
went. You lost all sound there.
I know, because it's not like I did anything. It was like Jews says this minus the description, but it's still like oh, but it's still like stuff there. So the ground rules are gonna be this tonight. When we hit presentation time, I ain't responding to comments unless I stop and say, "Do we have anyone in the chat with questions for clarification?" Otherwise, Caleb, you're the only one allowed to talk besides me. And if you want to engage with comments, he'll engage with you in the comments, not in the middle of the presentation. We will do a verbal engagement after the presentation.
Let me pull up the stream then, just in case.
Because
So
let's
you
just
can-
say this.
Yeah, I'll act as moderator, so you can just keep doing what you're doing.
Well, no, I want you to be able to engage in this too, especially.
No, I know,
this
but
is the
I'm
first
saying,
day
like,
of-
you know, while you're presenting something, I will just be patrolling the comments just in case.
Sure.
Also, I do not have permission from Riverside to put, because I joined the
It's not
recording
Riverside
rather than.
permissions. It's on YouTube.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying permission from Riverside to put comments up on the stream. So I can't even
Oh, really?
really show people. Yeah, if I join
Oh, you didn't.
from the link that you sent in the email, I can't do it. If I just join straight up
Oh.
on the dashboard, I could, but that's okay.
Is it because? Oh, so it might be because when you join the link, you're joining in through your email that I sent it to, versus when you join the dashboard, you're joined in under our signed joint account.
Yes. Well,
So that might be why. Maybe. But yeah. Tonight, it's our last. I'm gonna say it's a polemic and an apologetic tonight. It's gonna be both, guys. You know, for us, I'm actually say this. I am not gonna quote a single New Testament verse, so that way any Jew who wants to come or any skeptic wants to come in and say, "Oh, so you're trying to force?" No. I am purely working out of the Old Testament and Jewish literature. So therefore, it ain't on me. This is in your own texts. You all can just deal with it. I'm just saying that now. Just getting that out of the way. But anyways, so two powers of heaven. This is one that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I'm really excited to do it. I'll say this right now. We're not really we're focused on the two powers specifically. You could make a case for the full Trinitarian view to talk about the Holy Spirit. We could do that another day. We're not going to do that today because it requires all this backdrop to set that up, and by that point, it would be an even longer stream. I think I set it up right. If we don't get interrupted with like arguments from the chat and all that stuff, that we can definitely get this done relatively quickly and still have time for chill time, um, and probably get done around our 9:30 time that we normally do. Maybe a little bit
Gotcha.
after instead of, but not like our 10 o'clock the last two streams that we did together because of the hooliganry in the chat section,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
if you will. No, no, not at all. Dude, I felt so bad. I was like, cause I remember I don't know if I told you this directly, but I edited your whole video on the stream
Mm-hmm.
from when you did your presentation. I
Yes.
did all the editing. I was like, sweet, it's cool. It's a 2 hour plus stream. 30 minutes of you actually getting to go over your
Yeah.
stuff. I was like, dang, dude got derailed by the comments.
No, I know. Well,
Uh,
because I got multiple angles, so it was like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
doing things.
yeah. So, 2 powers of heaven. I'm running point on this tonight, boys and girls. If you have any girls watching, I think our recent stats show mostly guys follow us right now, which I'm not totally surprised, just given our presentation.
That
Might not.
and well, so we're two dudes, firstly, and secondly,
Yeah,
predominantly males use YouTube. So
that's fair. I was gonna say if we had either a female or we were probably doing more pastoral. Not saying that females don't like theology, but I think we did that. The general interest, at least what I saw from the female analytics, would draw in some more. Like if you were like a Lisa Childers, where she does like theology and apologetics, but is that woman's presence kind of draws that in more?
yeah.
Or if it's like this pastoral,
So you're saying you
you're
need a
kind of
woman
like
who can
giving into it.
edit?
That'd be cool. Well, a woman that could. Oh, if we did that, it'd be a woman who can edit and could stream with us.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's not saying that women, you don't like what we're doing. It's just based on the analytics I was seeing and looking at how other channels are doing. That seems to be the major numbers and where they're going right now.
Fancy.
So yeah. So we're gonna get into the 2 powers of heaven. It's gonna be a great time. I'm gonna pull up my screen. Got a lot of slides, mostly
I
just verses.
wouldn't be you if you didn't. So
Yeah,
hang on.
but it's gonna be a
Let's
great
compare.
time.
Hang on. Let's compare and contrast here, right? So you said it's going to finish about 9:30. That's hour and a half roughly. How many slides did you do?
Gonna try. If I read every single one verbatim, 53.
Uh huh. So I
And that was me
have to
cutting
teach
stuff out.
for probably about a half hour and a half tomorrow. I have 35.
Right. Here's the thing. One, yours is both could be heavy topics. Like I could really belabor the point in some of these. Some of these slides are more like I'm setting up things. And because I know we're doing a YouTube view of things, that it won't necessarily be the easiest to see. Try that. There. Won't be as easy to see.
Mhm.
So I did them really quick. And then also because we're not like engaging in like a group discussion, there I would have used significantly less slides if you're doing a group discussion. But here we are. 2 powers of heaven. It's gonna be a great time. So, 2 powers of heaven. Effectively, this is a I think the popular name of it mostly came from, at least my circles that I read through, was from Alan Siegel, who is a Jewish scholar that wrote tracing the different themes on this. And here's what I'm going to say: I only quote one Christian scholar once, just to make the point even more so clear that I'm not pulling from Christianity. And the only reason I quote that one scholar is for I like how he defines a Hebrew term. That's it. That's literally it.
So what I'm
So
hearing is this is circular
we're going to build
reasoning.
a case. It's not going to be circular reasoning. I don't reference New Testament, and I don't reference Christians, apart from that one person, and it's a Hebrew, Semitic
Right, but
languages scholar.
you referenced that one person, so clearly this is obviously
Oh. And of course, they're going to find something. But look, you got to do with the text. Just gotta deal with the text. And I make it so clear with all my highlights and underlines. It's gonna be a great time. But in order to do that, we gotta kind of define terms because what modern Jews today will say is that, Christians, you can't believe in the Trinity because, one, the Old Testament, or I guess in their case, the Hebrew Bible doesn't teach it, and it contradicts Jewish monotheism. So we need to start there with what the heck is ancient Jewish monotheism. And I promise this is important. So when we think about monotheism today, we're thinking of like, God, God. And there's a certain set of attributes and terms we throw to it, like God is omni this, or he is all this. I know those are similar, but we kind of like sometimes use different words because I don't always remember the different Latin, Greek, or Italian words that we have for them. So we kind of just like, oh yeah, he's all this, he's all benevolent. He's omnipresent, like all those kind of different things. We just kind of throw those words around. And there's a certain set of attributes we throw in God, the God word, saying that this is what God is, and therefore anyone that does not fit this category clearly cannot be God in the theistic sense. That doesn't mean we've understood God fully, but we at least understand that if a being doesn't have one of those things, he can't be God, at least in the theistic essence. If you want to argue for like maybe a polytheistic, you can try and get around that because you can bend the rules there, but even then that falls on its face a bit, and we're not doing polytheism tonight. We're just doing this. So God, we have a certain set of attributes and words. The thing is that while I'm going to show that our definition in ancient Jewish definitions don't contradict, that's not quite how it works necessarily with this precise wording, because when we use the word God, we use it as in the Bible, we use it as a translation in the Hebrew for the word Elohim, of which that word and those attributes don't necessarily fit together as like, in order to be an Elohim, you must be all these categories. They're different set of categories, but you can still see how both definitions of monotheisms really actually fit together pretty nicely. We have to understand what that difference is. So let's start here. Elohim can and frequently does refer to Yahweh, as we see in many passages, like in Genesis 1, where it doesn't say Yahweh, but it's referring to him. And you go to Genesis 2:4, where it says Yahweh Elohim, Yahweh God. You see this in Deuteronomy 7:25. You see it all over the place. There's a large number of places where Elohim is used of Yahweh. Sometimes it's used as a proper personal noun because it's a title. All right. I'm going to point that out right now. It's not a name, it's a title. It's kind of like when I call my mom, Mom. That's not her name, it's what she is. She is a mom, but I call her mom and she responds to it like a name. And God does the same. But that doesn't mean that I can't also call them by their name and therefore it's a contradiction. It's just like, okay, when we call God, we're referring to Yahweh.
Bro, please call your mom by her first name. I want to see the reaction.
Well, I would tell people like my mom's name is this, but I call her mom out of respect.
Yeah.
Like that's just the kind of like the cultural way we handle things. Like there's some
Yeah.
people who they have that relationship where they can do the whole this and this.
Yeah, I had that relationship. I had that relationship, excuse me, because you're just talking about relationships. I had that conversation with somebody recently where they said, "Why do you call him God? It's so disrespectful." Right? You know his name, and I was like, "Well, hang on. Firstly, if we're gonna say that, right? So is it disrespectful to call somebody who's a doctor?
Right, exactly.
Like, um, right? They've earned that title. Right? B, en arche en hologos kai en hologos prostantheon kai theos en hologos. That is John calling God God.
Right.
In the beginning was the word, and
Exactly.
the word was with God, and the word was God. The word was who? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I never understood that. Like, it's disrespectful to call him God. Call him by his name. I'm calling him by the
Yeah.
title that he has earned.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, he is that is what he is. He is God in the way we think of God. And so, but the other thing is too is that he is an Elohim. So let's look at the way Elohim works. Okay, so it is Elohim is use of Yahweh in these essences, like I just mentioned. So sorry, Elohim is used in these instances, as I just mentioned. However, this is not the only being that's referred to as an Elohim. And there's many places I can go with this, but I'm just going to keep it kind of short and simple. If you go to 1 Samuel 28:13, you have Samuel, his dead body, so he's dead in the ground, and his spirit, his ruach, is being conjured up, and it says that there is an Elohim coming out of the ground in reference to Samuel.
So this just proves Christ consciousness.
What's that?
I said this just proves Christ consciousness. You know that our spirit is God,
Yeah.
of course.
Um, but yeah, so Elohim then does not have, obviously if we're thinking like, okay, God, well, when we there you think about like the word Elohim and like the idea of God, they're not thinking of this way we think of God. Like he's Samuel's obviously not all knowing. He's not all benevolent. He's not omnipresent. He's not um all powerful. Like all these different words. Like he doesn't fit those categories, but he's still called an Elohim. So we have to hold on to that. Okay, so we have two different types of beings that are also Elohim. You go to Deuteronomy 32:17, which we're going to spend a little more time with later, where it's referencing to other beings that we would refer to as like the other spiritual residents, as in like, I don't, they're not the best terms for it, but we'll use them for today just for common language. Angels and demons would be Elohim. They're in reference here. Or you go to Psalm 82:1, where it talks about how Elohim in the singular goes in the midst, plural, of other Elohim to judge them. There's a plurality of Elohim there. So in all three of these verses, you see that there are, and multiple other verses, there are multiple categories of like Elohim. There's just Elohim all over. So, and they're being used for beings a part of just Yahweh. Now, it's always used for Yahweh, but it's also being used for beings that are not Yahweh. We have a divine plurality, if you will. And divine because the word El kind of plays into the translation of God or divine, depending on the context that you need to use it. So I'm talking about from a translation standpoint, what those words kind of entail. So there is a divine plurality of which focuses on there being multiple Elohim, but there is only one Yahweh. And this is the one scholar that I quote for this. Michael Heiser, the way he says the thing about Elohim is think of it as a place of residence term. So it's like a term referring to those of the spiritual realm. So you have those of the physical realm, you have those of the spiritual realm. When humans die, they're no longer in the physical realm, they're now in the spiritual realm. And when they're resurrected, their spirits and their bodies will be rejoined together, and therefore it is the spiritual and the physical together again. But they're still not Yahweh. So there's still a distinction there. Okay? So, but here's the question: doesn't the Bible deny there being other, other Elohim existing? People go to Deuteronomy 4:35. You were shown these things that you might know that the Lord is God. Beside him there is no other. Now, I'm going to quickly point out that technically in the Hebrew, if you were shown these things so that you can, so that you might know that Yahweh is Ha Elohim, meaning he is the Elohim. Besides him, there is no other. So you might feel like a little tension there if you're trying to go like, well, hold on, this must mean that there is no other Elohim, but it's saying he is the Elohim, as if like there's like a higher importance here. If you go like a few verses later, people use this one as well. 4 verses later, Deuteronomy 4:39. No one take to heart today that the Lord is God in heaven above and on earth below. There is no other. Same problem. Ha Elohim, technically. So the Elohim, the God. Yahweh is the God. Besides him, there is no other. Meaning that there seems to be this weird layer of he's greater, but if we're saying there's no other, then in what way is he greater than the others? The problem is if you go back like a few verses, you see, and not to lift up your eyes to heaven and see the sun and the moon, and the stars, all the hosts of heaven, and be drawn away and worship them, of which we've already specified earlier that if you go throughout the Torah, they're also called Elohim. And so those which the Lord your God has allotted to all the peoples under the whole heaven. So we're talking about, don't worship these other beings because God is the greatest of them all. Besides him, there is no other one who is greatest. Kind of we're getting here for a bit. But Deuteronomy 32:17, I've also mentioned. This one's really cool. They sacrificed to Shadim, which we often translate as devil or demon. So they sacrificed to demons, Shadim, that were not Eloah. I'm frustrated with the ESV here because the ESV actually makes a contradiction with itself. I want you to see if I quote it in the ESV, you'll see the contradiction. They sacrificed to demons that were not gods to gods they had never known. That's a contradiction right there. And also it doesn't fit the grammar. Eloah is singular. So they sacrificed to demons that were not God, singular, to Elohim, they, so plural, because Elohim is a word that's naturally plural. It's kind of like sheep. So if you in the grammatical structure that you say like regarding a sheep, and it's all singular, you know that I'm talking about one sheep. But if everything else I'm saying is refers to multiple sheep, then you know that the word sheep means two. Well, in this case, we have the Elohim is the plural and the Eloah is the singular. So they were sacrificed to Shadim, so demons, plural, that were not God, to Elohim, plural, they had never known, to new gods, Chashadim, that had come recently, whom your fathers had never dread. So we have there are other beings, and there are reference to demons. And Christians and Jews, well, at least most Jews, as I know of at least, would agree that there's a level to of understanding that there's angels and demons. Now, maybe there's some people out there that disagree on this, but at least majority of Christians would agree on this, to my knowledge. And you still have Jews who agree on this. We have demons that be referred to as Elohim, and angels being referred to as Elohim.
Yeah. Well, I find it interesting here because the Septuagint, right? So for the project that I'm working on, I actually referenced this verse,
Really?
like this exact one. Yeah. So it's kind of a funny overlap there. Um, and the Septuagint is very much reflective of this kind of language. So
Mm.
let me see. Hang on. I don't mean to delay you, and I don't want to take too long,
No,
but
you're
I'll just
good.
quickly
I
pull it
would
up.
love to hear the Septuagint since you're working
Well,
on this
would
verse
you?
too.
I was gonna say, would you
I would.
love to hear my heater on in the background? Is it
I
kicking
don't
into
mind about
overdrive?
the heater. I don't really care. I'm just
All
kind of
right.
used at this point. This is white noise to me.
Yeah. So they use the same word that we use in the New Testament for demons, right? Daimonius.
Yeah.
Right? Well, they don't use the lexical form of it, but still, and the heater kicks off. Beautiful timing. Um, but they do reference. There's a little bit of a difference here, right? Because the Septuagint that I use has capitals in it, so they make a distinction between
Sure.
God, but it's the same word, right? So you have they sacrifice to demons, not to God, to gods whom they knew not, right? It's still that same, like you're talking about here, right? With Elohim
Hmm.
being both a reference to the true God and then also just the spiritual beings. They have the same concept in the Septuagint,
Yeah.
which is God and gods, right?
Exactly.
And then not treating gods as the same ontological category as God, as God, but rather more as the spiritual being. So
Right.
it's this idea that transcends even the culture, right? Because the
Right.
Septuagint is goodness, how many years after the Torah? Basic
Uh,
math.
I can't
Basic
remember
math. We can do
exactly.
this. We are two competent people.
I don't remember exactly when the
Okay, one of
Septuagint
us
came
is
about.
competent. I'll let you pick which one.
You go for it.
I'm the competent one here.
I don't remember what the year the Septuagint came, so I don't want to put the exact number
Three
down.
hundred.
I know it's Second
300
Temple.
roughly. 300
Okay. I can remember it was three or
BC
five.
roughly.
I can remember
Huh?
it was 3 or 5. I can remember it was like 3 or 5.
Yeah. Yeah. No. The Greeks don't really interact with the Jews before five,
Yeah.
so it'd be pretty impressive to as soon as they meet, just boom, here's a translation.
Yeah. But yeah, the point, like you were saying, like we understand that the God with a certain ontological, and they had that category as well. But we see when they start placing these words down, clearly the way that they think about monotheism in regards to these specific words, like the God word, has a different definition behind it that's still not contradictory of what we have, but they mesh together, and we're going to see more of what this really is entailing. I think we're starting to flesh it out more. I think we'll see it even clearer as we keep going. Deuteronomy 10:17, for Yahweh your Elohim is Eloah of Elohim. So Yahweh, your God, is God of gods, and Adonai, so Lord of Adonim, lords. The great, the mighty, and the awesome, the God. These like all the different words for God here in this one statement, who is not partial and takes no bribe. So what we're getting is if we were just saying that he is, he's God of gods, and there were no other Elohim, if you will, and then this verse doesn't really make a lot of sense to just say here. You might as well just say there are no other Elohim that exist, period. I mean, they have the words to say that. but they don't. They're saying that he is the Elohim of Elohims, meaning that he's the Elohe of Elohims, meaning that there is no other Elohim who is like him. So we're starting to see more of what for them the idea of like ancient Jewish monotheism is, and then we can tie it together with as we start to develop more understanding of who God is and what his ontology is into the Greeks, and later on what the actual like full thing is going on here. But he is the greatest of all the Elohim. And remember, humans can become Elohim in the idea that they die and therefore lose access to their body. So they're just in the unseen realm. They're just spiritual beings. And then he's also Lord of Lords, of which humans and angels and demons can be referred to as lords and princes and stuff for the spiritual realm over nations of the world. And he's above all that too, which means that there is none in any realm who is like him. I think we're starting to see what this is. But hold on, just to throw one more thing in there. No other and no one, we saw that those sets of words come up a couple times, does not automatically mean none that exist. If you go to Isaiah 47:8, Babylon, Isaiah, says like, you Babylon, say to yourself, I am, and there's no one beside me. Well, obviously there is no other city. Obviously there are cities, and Babylon's not claiming that there isn't anyone that exists. So what we're getting here is that there is none other like me, is what it really is entailing here. This is kind of like the nuance behind the word. There are none other that are like me. There is none other who can compare to me. When we're getting these terms, we're starting to see that the monotheism for them is more of incomparability. Not that there are no other Elohim, but there is no Elohim comparable to him. And also, the Shema, which Jews love to try to use to try to disprove this whole idea. First off, hear, Israel, the Lord, our Elohim, Yahweh is one. You shall love Yahweh, your Elohim. Meaning that this is the God that is theirs. And if this is their God, that means that there are other gods that are not theirs, and that there are other nations who don't have Elohim, Yahweh. The implication here, as we see that they frequently do, is make implications like, if this is it, then everyone else doesn't have this, which means whatever they have is not this. There's nothing like this. Exodus 23, the Decalogue, or the Ten Commandments, also says, you shall have no other Elohim before me. This verse wouldn't really need to exist if there weren't other Elohim. God could just say, other Elohim don't exist. To specify that there are no other spiritual beings that could, the idea that there are other spiritual beings that they could be deceived into worshiping instead. I mean, we see that frequently throughout Israel's history and even just human history in general, shows that God is saying, no, I'm the only one who's truly the God of gods. In that case, like, there is none other like me. And what we can see then is that by our definition of monotheism, this still fits into the category of Yahweh is the only one who is ontologically what he is. And there's none other who can be comparable to him due to his character, due to his power, due to everything that he has, everything that he is. None other can compare to him. No being can compare to him. So that's theirs. More specifically, is there's none comparable to him. And then you add on the further development of theology. There is none other who can compare to him because there is none other that are actually ontologically like him. Meaning that he is the only one in our understanding of God that exists, and there is no being in any realm that is comparable to him. He is Elohe of Elohim. He is Adonai of Adonim. Okay, that was a really brief-ish, but it's important to understand that there are no Elohim comparable to him.
Yeah,
Why is that so important?
That really brief took 20 minutes, my guy, but
Well, we also had some conversation, and we started a little bit later.
No, no, I accounted for that, my friend. You started
Okay.
around the 10-minute mark. We're at a half hour. I'm just joshing you.
Okay, you know what?
Get it? Because your name is
Shush.
Josh.
Shush. There is no other Elohim like him. Why is that important? Then Yahweh caused to rain upon Sodom, upon Gomorrah, brimstone and fire from Yahweh out of heaven. What's weird about this verse, Caleb?
Raining fire.
Let's look at a different part that's weird.
Yes, there are two Yahwehs present.
Yeah. You have Yahweh causing something to rain from Yahweh out of the skies, which implies either one of two things. We have to check the context, but let's say there's either two ways to look at this until you check the full context. Either there are both Yahwehs up there, and one saying, hey, throw that down, or there's a Yahweh down here saying, yo, Yahweh up there, throw this down. Or you can say Yahweh's schizophrenic. Do you want to take the heresy, or do you want to take what the text says? We have two Yahwehs here. We also have in Amos 4:11, I overthrew some of you as when Elohim overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. So we're talking. Someone's saying there's a person here saying, so kind of like when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, I overthrew you, and you were as a brand plucked out of the burning, yet you did not return to me, declares Yahweh. So we have a Yahweh saying, I overthrew you like God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. We have Yahweh speaking in the third person about someone else that just did what Yahweh did here. Not convinced yet. Genesis 22:11 through 12. But
Hey,
the
hey.
angel of the Lord called to him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. He said, Do not let your hand on the boy or do anything to him. From now I know that you fear God, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. And remember, early in this chapter, it is Yahweh who is saying, Prepare Isaac as a burnt offering. And the angel said, You fear him because you didn't because you were willing to give him up to me. Equating himself a little bit right here. What about Exodus 19:24? And Yahweh said to him, Go down and come up, bring Aaron with you, but do not let the priests and the people break through to come up to Yahweh, lest he break out against them. So Yahweh's saying, Go down, get Aaron, come up, don't bring the rest with you, come up to Yahweh. So we just went to third person, lest he. So Yahweh's saying, Don't bring the others to Yahweh because he will break out against them. But this is Yahweh speaking. So obviously, we don't have a schizophrenic God here. Something is weird happening. And I think we can start to see what's really going on. But just to kind of show more, because there will be some who say, okay, well, maybe the angel is just, a representative. Problem is this. Well, if you go over like Genesis 31:10 through 13, with Bethel, and it came to pass at the time that the flock conceived that I lift up mine eyes and saw in a dream, and behold, the he goats which leaped upon the flock were streaked, speckled, and grizzled. And the angel of God said unto me in the dream, Jacob. And I said, Here am I. And he said, Lift up now thine eyes and see all the he goats which he leap upon the flocks are streaked, speckled, and grizzled. For I have seen all that Laban has done to thee. I am the God of Bethel, where thou didst anoint a pillar, where thou didst vow a vow unto me, which is referencing to Genesis 28. Well, hold on. Before we go there, someone could say, well, hold on, if there are other Elohim, then it's just Elohim is saying that, I am the Elohim that you made this promise to. Problem. Genesis 28, Jacob has a vision of the heavenly ladder with Yahweh standing above it. So Yahweh's at the top of the ladder, saying, I am Yahweh, the God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac. Then the whole vision plays out, and Jacob states, Surely Yahweh's in this place, and I did not know it. How awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of Elohim, meaning this is the house of Yahweh, and this is the gate of heaven. He then makes his pillow stone and calls the place Bethel, and this is where he proclaims to follow Yahweh, which is the very thing that the angel does here. Says that I am the God of this place. Bethel, Beth meaning house of, and then El, which would be here, Beth Elohim, and he pays it, but Beth El, because that'd be another way to like singular, do a singular God. So I'm saying Bethel. This is Beth El, house of God, singular. And which God is it? Yahweh. This is the angel. Quick other thing, anytime the God says a messenger almost everywhere else in the Bible, that's not him. They say, Thus says the Lord. The angel didn't do that. He just comes in and starts talking like he is. Don't believe me? Check the prophets, and every other messenger shows up. But this is not the only place we saw blurring lines. If we go to Exodus 3, we have Moses where he goes up, he's walking around, and he sees the mountain of God, and then he sees that there is a flame, and in the flame is the angel of Yahweh. And so the angel, there's this figure, this um, embodied presence in the flame in the midst of a bush, and the bush is not catching on fire. So he goes to check it out. When he goes to check it out, it then says, when Yahweh saw that he turned aside to see, God called him out of the bush. So now the question is this: is there one figure in the bush? Is there two? Because the text is treating like there's two figures. You have an angel of Yahweh and you have Yahweh. And if we keep reading, and then it says that then he said, do not come near, take your sandals off your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground. And he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. Then Yahweh said, and the text keeps playing this whole thing where it's like, is it the angel talking? Is it Yahweh talking? Are they blurring? They're kind of like blurring the lines between the two. It's almost like you could say they're essentially, or in essence, the same, but distinct in person. Interesting. Could say that. But we're not done with the angel, because later in Exodus, we get, behold, I send an angel before you to guard you on the way and to bring you to the place that I have prepared. Pay careful attention to him and obey his voice. Do not rebel against him, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Okay, so the whole reason that he has this authority is for refusal to pardon is, the fact that the name's in him. It must be like, he's bearing the name. Humans bear the name. So maybe the angel really is just a representative. Okay, maybe he really just is this, just a representative angel. There's nothing else really happening here. So, but the thing is, it's not just saying that he bears the name. It's saying that the name is in him. So the question is, what does it mean to have the name in something? So we're now going to develop very briefly what's known as the name theology. So in Deuteronomy 12, we get, you shall not worship Yahweh your God in that way, but you shall seek the place that Yahweh your God will choose out of all your tribes to put his name and make his habitation there. So we're talking about the place where God is going to be and to dwell, but it's saying he's going to put his name there. The name is being put in association with presence. It doesn't make sense to just like, you're going to carve the name in something. That's not what he's saying there. Nor is he saying like, hey, you're just going to say my name there. Because it's saying that this will be his habitation, where he's going to reside. His name is linked to presence here. But maybe this is just in this instance. Maybe Josh is just going too far. So, but what about Psalm 21 through 7? May Yahweh answer you in the day of trouble. May the name of the God of Jacob protect you. Well, they're not crying out Yahweh, Yahweh, as if that's going to like do a magical like, whoo, shield pops up and they're protected. Nor is it them just like carving names out. Like there's something specific with the name. So may he send you help from the sanctuary and give you support from Zion. May he remember all your offerings and regard with favor your burnt offerings. Selah, may he grant you your heart's desire and fulfill all your plans. May we shout for joy over your salvation, and in the name of our God set up our banners. May Yahweh fulfill all your petitions. Now I know that Yahweh saves his anointed. He will answer him for his holy heaven, from his holy heaven, with the saving might of his right hand. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we trust in the name of Yahweh our God. Okay, well, it still could just be like we're trusting in the very name of what he is. That very beautiful simplicity of his name is so powerful itself. But what if I took the past verse and I applied it here? May Yahweh answer you in the day of trouble. May the presence of God protect you. And then we keep going. May we shout for joy over your salvation, and in the presence of our God set up our banners. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we trust in the presence of Yahweh our God. Because in God's presence, no one can stack up to him. I mean, we saw that if you go to our Chaos Water series, even the Chaos Waters is just called merely water in his presence. There is none compared to him. When you talk about the chaos monsters motif, when it talks about God crushing them in the Psalms, what I love is there's, I think it's in 89, it says that he crushed the head of Rahav like a carcass. which means the head was as if it was already dead before he struck it. What we're getting is this powerful statement of that the name of Yahweh is linked to the presence in some capacity. Not done. I'll keep on cruising along here. I screwed up my slides. Let me slide this back over. There. I think you all can see that better now again. We then have 2 Samuel 6, 1 through 2. David again gathered all the chosen men of Israel, 30,000, and David arose and went with all the people who were with him from Baal Judah to bring up from there the ark of God, which is called the name. Unfortunately, some translations just leave it as the name once. The problem is in Hebrew, it's in there twice. So better, as I put it there, which is called the name of Yahweh. The ark is called the name. What is the ark associated with? It's associated with his presence. There was the idea that when the ark wasn't in the tabernacle, that God wasn't there. Now, God has filled the tabernacle when the ark wasn't there before, in the temple. Like he's filled places before, like he's been on mountains before in all these places. So he's not limited by that. But the idea of his presence is gone. That God is not there. They link that and they call the ark the name of Yahweh. It's important to recognize that the name is tied to something regarding the presence of Yahweh. Isaiah 30, behold, the name of Yahweh comes from afar. So now we have the name is coming. Think about that. The name is the one with burning with his anger. The name is the one with his lips. Burning with this anger and in thick rising smoke. The name lips are full of fury, and the name's tongue is like a devouring fire. The name's breath is like an overflowing stream. The name is the one that's being personified and embodied here. The name is the one with lips. The name is the one with anger. The name is the one with a tongue. The name is the one with breath. The name is the one that's coming. Well, if the name is coming, that means the name is going to be present. So what do we do with this? Behold, I send an angel before you to guard you on the way and to bring you to the place that I prepared. Pay careful attention to him and obey his voice. Do not rebel against him, for he will not pardon your transgression. For my name or my presence is in him. Effectively, he's saying, the angel is me. If I put that in there differently, he will not pardon your transgression, for he and I are one, and he will be with you in presence. And there's so much more I could do with the name theology. I have a lot more slides, but Caleb, unless you have something you want to jump in on.
Oh, our friend has appeared in the comments section, so I've been dealing with that.
Beautiful. You get to hear a wonderful presentation today.
His argument began with 1 Kings 8, 1, where, and I'll read it to you.
Okay.
Actually, hang on. I will read it to you once I turn back to there, because I had flipped to Amos 4. All
right.
1 Kings, chapter 14. I need chapter 8. Now, this is what he compared to Genesis 19. Then Solomon gathered the elders of Israel and all the heads of the tribes, the chief of the fathers of the sons of Israel, to King Solomon in Jerusalem, that they may bring up the ark of the covenant of Jehovah out of the city of David, which is Zion. Now, he said that since Solomon is... he just responded with a very interesting message. Hoy vey.
I'm not looking at any comments right now.
I know. I'll respond to it in a second. Which also, actually, yes, Yehuda, that would be an exact word fallacy if you're looking for the angel to be called Jesus in Exodus 3, but that's neither here nor there.
That's not the argument I'm making. I even said I am not
No.
mentioning New Testament.
We are having a separate conversation.
Oh.
But yeah,
so he's not even here for the actual stream.
No, he's just here to argue. So the first Kings 8 there, the thing I just read to you, he said that's the same thing as Genesis 19. And therefore we should say there are two Solomons. So I don't know if you wanted to back up real quick and just show the connection there with Genesis 19 and Amos 4, because in Amos 4 he changes
Yep,
persons.
I got this.
Okay.
So Genesis 19, Yahweh
Genesis
causes to
19.
rain
Yeah.
from Yahweh. Amos 4, I, Yahweh, overthrew some of you as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. But who overthrew them in Sodom and Gomorrah? Well, Genesis 19 says it was Yahweh. But Yahweh saying God did it.
Hi,
And this
Chaos.
is
Good to
Yahweh
see you.
who's speaking.
I just want to say hi to Chaos. He's in the chat now.
Nice. Um, that's the short version. We have Amos 4, or almost 4 technically. Yahweh is saying, I overthrew some of you as God did to Sodom and Gomorrah. And Yahweh is the God who did it here. But Yahweh is the one who caused it from God. Or caused Yahweh is the one who caused it from Yahweh. A different Yahweh, if you will, but also the same Yahweh. And here we have Yahweh saying it was a third person. This Yahweh did it. This doesn't work with Solomon. But anyways, I'll go back to my name stuff. Unless Caleb, you want
Because
to jump
Solomon
in on
doesn't
the name
change
thing.
purposes or persons, right? He just stays as the third person, and it says Solomon sent for them, and they came to Solomon. That's
Yep.
consistency in personhood, which is not the case.
Yep. You should have at least know your text. So, Caleb, unless you have anything you want to throw in for the name or comments, I'm going to keep going.
He posted something else about Deuteronomy, so I'm going to go there. You have fun.
Okay. Sounds good. So, Deuteronomy 4, 36 through 37. Out of heaven, he let you hear his voice that he might discipline you. And on earth, he let you see his great fire, and you heard his words out of the midst of the fire. And because he loved your fathers and chose their offspring after them, and brought you out of Egypt with his own presence. Well, that's similar to this. The name is in the angel, and I just showed you that it's tied to presence, and here it's tied to presence. But now we have the presence is the one that's taking credit for bringing them out. And we have we have different passages where you see that it is the angel who brings them out, it is God's presence who brings them out, and it is God who brings them out. There is a deep link that seems to be between the angel and Yahweh, between this Elohim, who we just said at the very, very beginning that ancient Jewish monotheism deals with incomparability, that there is no other Elohim comparable. And now we actually have an Elohim that is somehow comparable because he is also being called Yahweh. And the presence of Yahweh is also in him. So what does that entail? Well, Exodus 33:14. And he said, this is God speaking, my presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. In Judges 2, 1 through 2. Now the angel of Yahweh went up from Gilgal and Bochim and said, I brought you up from Egypt. But everyone else claims that God did it, or Yahweh specifically. Yahweh did it, and that God's presence did it. And now the angel, who again, if this is just a messenger, every other messenger says, the Lord says this, or God tells him to say, the Lord says this. The angel just shows up and he says, I brought you up from Egypt, brought you from the land that I swore to give your fathers. I said, I will never break my covenant with you. The angel is claiming the ownership here. Everyone else says, thus says Yahweh. This one is saying, I am Yahweh. I am the same as him, but yet distinct from him. Interesting. This one's really fun. Genesis 48. And Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it on the head of Ephraim, who was younger, and his left hand on the head of Manasseh. Crossing his hands from Manasseh, he was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph and said, the God before whom my father Abraham and Isaac walked, the God who has been my shepherd all my life, long to this day. Remember, both cases would be referring to Yahweh. Then it says, the angel who has redeemed me from all evil, may he bless the boys. He singular. The God, the angel. May he. But hold on. But Josh, my translation doesn't say that. Well, because some translations don't really do well with this, let me pull up the Hebrew for you in case you're not believing me. Verse 16 is one we're referring to right here. Ham Malak, the angel, Hag Goel, the redeemed, Ti, me, Mik Kolra, from all evil, he may bless. Ye va re. He may bless. It is a singular verb masculine. But meaning the angel is not a separate person. Sorry, a separate being. They are essentially the same yet distinct. There's somehow a connection between the two where they are both Yahweh and yet distinct from each other. That they would speak of each other in the third person. And I keep showing that there's these blurring lines between the angel and Yahweh. But yet they also are distinct from each other. And yet the angel is also called Yahweh. What we can see so far is the angel is distinct from Yahweh, but is showing to be comparable to Yahweh. But I thought there was no other Elohim like Yahweh. Doesn't this contradict ancient Jewish monotheism? Well, clearly the text doesn't think so, and no Jew thought so until the end of the first century. This angel has the presence of Yahweh in him, the authority, a blurring of the line of who delivered Israel from Egypt. The angel is Yahweh and yet isn't? That sounds very familiar to me. We're going to see, like, pretty easily how so many Jews were able to move forward into what we now know as Christianity because of these things. Here's one that scared Caleb. I'm not going to read all of it, but I'm just going to share a little bit. So now the angel of Yahweh comes, and he comes to, talk to Gideon. And so the angel of Yahweh appears and said to him, let me zoom in a little bit for you guys. Said to him, Yahweh is with you, O mighty man of valor. And Gideon said to him, please, my lord, if Yahweh is with us, why then has all this happened to us? So this is the angel who's having this conversation with him. Did not Yahweh bring us up from Egypt? But now Yahweh has forsaken us and given us into the hand of Midian. And then Yahweh turned to him and said, go in this might of yours and save Israel from the hand of Midian. Do not I send you? So now Yahweh's speaking. Keep going down. Another time Yahweh speaks, and Yahweh said to him, but I will be with you, and you shall strike the Midianites as one man. Then he speaks and he tells the angel, hey, stay and I'll return. Please stay here. I'll return. I'm going to bring this favor to you. And the angel says, okay, I'll stay. But remember, we just have this blur where the angel is here. We know that he was having the conversation, but now Yahweh's having the conversation. But it didn't switch. I didn't say there was a second person, like a second character there, but somehow there is. So Gideon goes up to his house, prepares all this stuff, and then the angel of Yahweh said to him, take the meat and the unleavened cakes and put them on this rock, pour them over the broth of them. And he did so, and the angel of Yahweh reached out to the tip of the staff that was in his hand and touched the meat and the unleavened cake. So that we have an embodied presence here. And fire sprang up from the rock and consumed the meat and the unleavened cakes. The angel of Yahweh vanished from his sight. So the angel's gone. Gideon perceived that he has seen the angel of Yahweh, and Gideon said, alas, O Lord God, for now I have seen the angel of Yahweh face to face. But Yahweh said to him, peace be with you, do not fear, you shall not die. Why would he be afraid of dying? Well, because we thought that only if you saw the face of Yahweh, you would die. But Yahweh is comforting Gideon and telling him that you're not going to die for seeing the angel of Yahweh. Of which the text also blurs the lines of who's who. Because Yahweh's present and Yahweh's speaking, but also it identifies the angel as Yahweh. Let's get into another fun one that Philo kind of plays with more during the Second Temple. I'm not going to get too much into Philo. I'll reference them towards the end if there's time. But there's also playing with the word. Okay, so let's review. We have Jewish monotheism, which is nothing's comparable to Yahweh, except for somehow this angel, who is the embodied presence of God that walks on earth. Not an incarnation, but a manifestation, if you will. But that manifestation is often in a human form. So God in human form, who is identified as Yahweh and has the presence of Yahweh, and is claimed as doing the same things as Yahweh, but is distinct from Yahweh. Well, in Genesis 15:1, after these things, the word of Yahweh came to Abraham in a vision. Well, okay, well, first off, here's the thing visions are seen, and Abraham is seeing the word of Yahweh. He's not getting a presentation, not getting like a little slideshow like you're getting right now. He's not seeing words on the screen. Yeah, 1 Samuel 3:1. This is the famous story where Samuel is about to get his calling. It says that that the word of God had not been present. In fact, it says right here, now the boy of Samuel was ministering to Yahweh in the presence of Eli, and the word of Yahweh was rare in those days. There was no frequent vision. So the word is linked to be something that is seen. God has not been showing up in human form. God has not been showing up in this way for a time. Go down to verse 7, we have this whole narrative where we understand as God calling out to Samuel saying, Samuel, Samuel, and Samuel wakes up. He goes to Eli. He's like, what's going on? Eli says, it wasn't me. Go back to bed. And this happens a couple times. And now, 33:7, now Samuel did not yet know Yahweh, and the word of Yahweh had not been revealed to him. So he's obviously confused. Yahweh called Samuel again the third time, and he rose and went to Eli and said, here I am, for you called me. Then Eli perceived that Yahweh was calling the boy. Therefore Eli said to Samuel, go lie down, and if he calls you, you shall say, speak, Lord, for your servant hears. So Samuel went and lay down in his place. And Yahweh came and stood, calling as at other times. Remember, we've had the word has been linked with visions, a manifested presence, if you will. And on the third call, or I guess technically, the fourth now, Yahweh comes and stands near Samuel and says, wake up. Remember, the author tied this to the word of which came and stood, and God is in human form. Jeremiah 1:4-9, now the word of Yahweh came to me. The word is coming, saying, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I consecrated you. I appointed you a prophet to the nations. Then I said, Lord God, behold, I do not know how to speak, for I am only a youth. But Yahweh said to me, so the word is being linked with Yahweh. It's not just the word of Yahweh, like it's just like someone represents Yahweh. This is Yahweh. But Yahweh said to me, do not say, I am only a youth, for to all whom I send you, you shall go, and whatever I command you, you shall speak. Do not be afraid of them, for I am with you to deliver you, declares Yahweh. Then Yahweh put his hand and touched my mouth. Embodied human presence. And this is the word that is doing this. This is another indication that Yahweh has been coming in the appearance of man while also being distinct from the one that is appearing. He is and isn't. Like he is Yahweh and isn't Yahweh. This is a weird thing. I'm playing with that language specifically. If you understand that language, you understand what is being implied here and why it was so easy for first century Jews to see why there wasn't an issue with the things at hand. We have two Yahwehs while also being one being. The text blurs the two together as if they are the same, while also recognizing there is some level of distinction. Then we have my favorite, the Cloud Rider. Very famous, very popular text, Daniel 7, of which, let's start here. The Cloud Rider motif itself stems from Ugarit with Baal, of which means that the one who rides the clouds controls rain and fertility. In fact, it's a source of survival because he is the one who brings all these things. He brings the clouds that brings the rain so they can live and all that stuff. And he rides, and he's up in heavens. So this is a motif only used of divine figures. But the biblical authors take it and appropriate it and put it onto Yahweh, saying, no, Yahweh's the true one who's the source of life. He truly is the one. It makes sense for them to do this. They do this all over the place. That they would take these things and say, Yahweh's truly the God of gods, playing into Deuteronomy. And here's some examples. You have Deuteronomy 33, you have Psalm 68, you have Isaiah 19:1. You also have Psalm 104. Every single instance in the Hebrew Bible where it talks about writing the heavens, coming with the clouds, all those things, it is always in reference to a divine figure. In this case, is always referencing Yahweh. Until you get here. As I looked, thrones were placed, and the Ancient of Days took his seat. His clothing was white as snow. This is Yahweh. This is God right here. He sits on his throne. There's fire. All these really cool things happening is matching similar language to Ezekiel 1. It's also similar to the Ugarit pantheon for Babylon. All these things like of Baal, El, and all these gods. It's as appropriate as language to saying this is Yahweh. He's truly the one that sits on the throne, and his divine counsels around him, and all these things. And then it says, I saw in the night visions, and behold, with the clouds of heaven, or some will say on the clouds of heaven, or right in the clouds of heaven, depending on the text you're reading, there came one like a son of man, one who was human. And he came to the Ancient of Days. And then he's the one who's given this dominion, this kingdom that will last forever. And it will not be destroyed. But again, every instance we have is that Yahweh is the one who rides the clouds. But we already have Yahweh seated. We have another one who is doing this. But again, Yahweh's not comparable. So how is it that we have a human who is comparable to him? Well, that's where the Second Temple Jewish literature was trying to really kind of wrap around their minds around these things. They were trying to figure out what is happening. They came up with a couple different theories. Philo's theory was about the word, and he has this whole philosophy behind it. I felt like that we could get into that is really kind of cool because I will reference one New Testament here. John plays with some of this a little bit, and also with Greek philosophy, and also with Hebrew texts, with all this thinking about the word in his first chapter. So it's really a cool thing to talk about. I just didn't give enough time in order for it to be, by 9:30
Probably
to do
not.
this.
Probably not.
So we're going to
As
talk.
somebody who is an avid fan of John, and I've
Yeah,
said it before that John's Greek is elementary, and his philosophy would confound every modern human. Like
yeah.
John's
It's
understanding of philosophy is second to none. Right?
yeah,
Regardless
it's
of what
really
you
cool.
may think of uh, the New Testament or the Gospel of John, you cannot deny how brilliant his incorporation of philosophy is.
Yeah. And this is the stuff that he plays, he pulls from Philo's work and all these kinds of things. And I say that because Philo was not recognized as a heretic for his playing with the word and linking the word with Yahweh, as if there was these two figures that were both Yahweh and yet distinct. That's the reason I say that. So I'm not saying that like I would break my promise. I'm not quoting New Testament. I'm not referring to this. I'm just saying that Philo's work is obviously very much recognized within the Greco-Roman period of Jews during that first century because they're using that language in their own text. That's the only reason I mentioned it. But I want to talk the more popular ones. So the two other popular opinions were exalted humans and other spiritual beings. We're going to see why they're not so great, though. First example is Adam. In 2nd Enoch 30:11 through 12, is looking back on creation a little bit and is talking about the sixth day. And it says, and I placed him on earth, a second angel, honorable. And at this point, angel doesn't just mean messenger for them. They actually are starting to distinguish the idea of angels as the good spiritual beings and demons as the bad spiritual beings. That thought is kind of coming through the Second Temple, leading to the first century with a lot of the Greek writings. We have Adam being declared as a second angel, honorable, great, and glorious. And I, as be God, appointed him as a ruler to rule on earth and to have my wisdom. And there was none like him on of earth, of all my existing creatures. There's none like him, apart from God, who is greater than him. And is looking back on the sixth day and saying that Adam's the chief angel, which is weird because the chief angel is also one that rebels against him. And we have no text that shows in the Old Testament, or the Hebrew Bible, if you will, that the angel ever goes against Yahweh. Ever. But then the testament of Abraham plays in this too, and it says, and when the wonderful one who sat upon the golden throne saw a few entering through the narrow gate, many entering through the broad one straight away, that wonderful one tore his hairs of his head and side of his beard, and threw himself on the ground from his throne. And he's weeping, he's crying, but then when the ones who are going through they're being successful and they're going to the way that is the way of God, he's celebrating. And, so Abraham goes, my lord, chief captain, he's talking to the one who's with them. Who is the most marvelous man up there, adorned with such glory? And sometimes he weeps and laments, and sometimes he rejoices and exults. The incorporeal one says, this is the first created Adam who is in such glory, and he looks upon the world because all are born from him. So we have Adam again being exalted above. But again, this doesn't work because he's already one that's been rebelled. We have this one that there's one who's incomparable to him. If we know that this angel is being comparable to Yahweh, and Yahweh's been known and said throughout the Old Testament that he can't sin, that he doesn't lie, and all these things, and Adam doesn't fit the narrative. Doesn't fit. What about Jacob? Well, Prayers of Joseph, fragment A, says, I, Jacob, who is speaking to you, am also Israel, an angel of God and ruling spirit. Abraham and Isaac were created before any work, but I, Jacob, who men all call Jacob, but whose men is Israel, and he who God called Israel, which means a man seeing God, because I am the firstborn of every living thing to whom God gives life. And when I was coming up from Syria and Mesopotamia, Uriel, the angel of God, came forth and said that I, Jacob, Israel, had descended to earth, and that I had tabernacled among men, and that I had been called by the name of Jacob. He envied me and fought with me and wrestled with me, saying that his name and the name that is before every angel is to be above mine. I told him his name and what rank he held among the sons of God. Are you not Uriel, the eighth after me? And I, Israel, the archangel of the power of the Lord, and the chief captain among the sons of God. Am I not Israel, the first minister before the face of God? And I call upon my God by the extinguishable name. So now we have, maybe it's Jacob. Maybe he's one because, he's father of Israel. So maybe he's the angel. Problem, Jacob met the angel. We already saw that text. Okay, well, what about Enoch was another thought. Because again, they're trying to parse this out. They're trying to figure out what's going on. Who is this? They're kind of accepting the second power already, but now you have a human who is acting like he's a part of the second power. And it's not even just like a manifestation we saw before. This is a human who's doing it, not just an appearance of a human. This is a human. Well, first Enoch, again, they're saying maybe it's Enoch. And what we get here, it talks about how, and it came to pass after this, that my spirit was translated and ascended into the heavens, and I saw the holy sons of God. They were stepping on flames of fire, and he's describing all these really cool visions that he's seen. He says that he falls on his face before the Lord of spirits, and the angel Michael seized me by my right hand, and lifted me up, and led me forth into all the secrets, and showed me all the secrets of righteousness. We keep skipping ahead, and we see that with them was the head of days. We're starting to get some languages matching that of Daniel 7. You can see that they're really trying to draw Daniel 7 and say that Enoch is him. Enoch is it. And his head was white and pure as wool, and his raiment indescribable. And I fell on my face, and my whole body became relaxed, and my spirit was transfigured. And the head of days came with Michael and Gabriel, Raphael and Phanuel, thousands of 10,000s of angels without number. When he came to me and greeted me with his voice, and said unto me, This is the Son of Man, who is born unto righteousness, and righteousness abides over him, and the righteous the head of days forsakes him not. So now they're saying, okay, maybe it was Enoch. He gets again in chapter 22, 4 through 10. I fell and prone down on my face before the Lord, and the Lord with his lips said to me, I get that right. Actually, it's supposed to be second Enoch, sorry. That's a typo, it's supposed to be second Enoch. So let Enoch stand before my face into eternity, and the glorious one bowed down to the Lord. I know, I'm sorry.
Tisk.
I know.
Unwatchable.
I know.
Clearly, somebody who didn't do his research, clearly doesn't know what he's talking about.
Minus the fact that I knew that was second Enoch when I said it and just corrected it.
That thought occurred to me too. I was like, dang, I don't know if I would know that off rip like that.
Okay, so I'll start that over. So in second Enoch, we get the same thought. When I fell prone down to the Lord, and the Lord with his lips said to me, Have courage, Enoch, do not fear, arise and stand before my face into eternity. The ark of strategy, Michael lifted me up before the Lord's face, and the Lord said to his servant, tempting them, Let Enoch stand before my face into eternity. And the glorious one bowed down to the Lord and said, Let Enoch go according to thy word. And the Lord said to Michael, Go and take Enoch from out his earthly garments and anoint him with my sweet ointment, and put him into the garments of my glory. And Michael did thus, as the Lord told him. He anointed me, he dressed me. The appearance of that anointment is more than the great light, and his anointment is like the sweet dew, and it smelled mild, shining like the sun's ray. And I looked at myself and was like one of his glorious ones. Exalted human being among the angels, but it's also God's glory. You also have the idea maybe it was Moses in Ezekiel the tragedian. Upon Mount Sinai's brow I saw a mighty throne that reached to heaven's high vault, whereon there sat a man of noblest mind, wearing a royal crown, with whose left hand held a mighty scepter, and his right hand to me made a sign, and I stood forth before the throne. He, would be God, gave me then the scepter and the crown, and bade me sit upon the royal throne, from which himself removed. So like God gets up from his throne, gives him the scepter, says, hey, why don't you try it out? Try it out. So now I'm saying maybe Moses was the exalted one. Problem is, none of these work. Okay, so, first off, Adam sinned against God. Moses also sinned against God. But also, Moses talked to the angel. Jacob talked to the angel. Enoch, we have a couple verses on, and it's pure speculation, since he is mentioned very briefly about not dying. That's it. We don't get anything else about it. And we don't really hear much about Enoch after that, other than a few references about, like lineage and a few other things here and there. But not a ton on who he is. Not like all these other figures like Jacob, Adam, Moses, who have this whole narratives behind it. Enoch is like this little blip. I'm not casting Enoch off as not like this really cool thing to look at in the text, but it's speculation. And they couldn't even agree on that. Not only that, but these are separate beings. Whereas the angel is being linked as if he is the same essence as Yahweh, but yet distinct in the person of who they are. What about special angels? You got like Michael in Testament of Dan. And now fear the Lord my God and beware of Satan and his spirits. Draw near unto God, unto the angel that intercedeth for you, for he is a mediator between God and man. That's referring to Michael in the text, within the context. And for the peace of Israel. So they're saying, okay, maybe Michael is, because we see him being talked about. He's given a name in the Old Testament. Maybe he is the one who is the angel of the Lord, because he is the one who intercedes. He plays into that. But we don't get much about Michael till later. And even then, he's not linked to these other texts, nor does he ever take credit for the other things that are happening, like the angel of the Lord does. So, and even again, they don't agree on this. I mean, this is a speculation still. You can just see this about the different texts that they have. But it's pulling from Daniel as referring to Michael as the prince that watches over Israel. You also have Joseph and Asenath. And lo, hard by the morning star, the heaven was rent, and great and ineffable light appeared. And when she saw it, Asenath fell upon her face upon the cinders straightway there, and came to our man from heaven, referring to Michael, sent forth rays of light, and stood above her head. And as she lay in her face, the divine angel said to her, Asenath, stand up. Second time saying, Asenath, Asenath. And she said, here I am, Lord. Tell me who thou art. He said, I am the chief captain of the Lord God, and commander of all hosts of the Most High. Stand up and stand upon thy feet. All I have to say is that there are several examples and more where they're trying to figure out who, specifically one, the Son of Man is in Daniel 7. And also trying to figure out who this, maybe the second power is. Because we are seeing here, and I think I've made it fairly clear, that there is a second being who is linked to Yahweh, but is also distinct from Yahweh in his person. But also Yahweh is talking about Yahweh in the third person. And saying that Yahweh is God. Like you have the passage in Exodus 19 saying, go down, bring Aaron, don't bring the others. If you bring the others up to Yahweh, he will do this. And this is Yahweh saying, if you bring them to Yahweh, he will do this. You also have Amos saying, yeah, just like when God, or like back when Yahweh did this to Sodom and Gomorrah, I did that to you. We have Yahweh speaking in the third person. You also have in Genesis 19, again, Yahweh calls from Yahweh. This is just to give you a glimpse of how all this was into the Jewish mind. They're trying to parse this out. Who was the Son of Man? Who was the second power? The issue is that all of these are speculative and run into many contradictions within the Hebrew Bible that don't fit, or they have so many stones that just can't be turned over because they don't work, or they have keys that don't fit in the hole. Like these just don't work. Now I'm going to turn to the New Testament a little bit because I want to end on a nice Christian message.
You
Then
think
Jesus comes.
with all just a setup?
Oh, no. But then comes Jesus, who is described as the Word, which plays and Caleb's in a whole episode regarding the Greek philosophy and the Greek language, and how that kind of plays this out, at least a little bit. I'm sure he would love to do more one day.
Oh,
But I've
I
already
absolutely
showed you
would. But
before.
for the time being, go check that out when you're done with this.
Yeah. But with all that said, we already went over an entire section where there is the Word that is personified and is an embodied human presence. So even if you didn't have all those extra things, you still have biblical precedence of the Word being an embodied presence, a human embodied presence. It claims to be over the council in John 10, walks over the sea in Matthew 14, freed the people from Egypt, of which every text we looked at said it was the angel or it was the presence, or it was God. And Jude said it was Jesus. You didn't have the Son of Man, of which Jesus claims to be the cloud rider. And that's when the Pharisees go, blasphemy. All the different titles are either given to or claimed by Jesus regarding who he is, taking all these different titles that we just went over, saying, I am him. This idea of the two powers was part of why it wasn't difficult for a Jew to become a Christian and a follower of Jesus, because it was already built into the theology. It was after Jesus. That Jews rejected it, not before. You can see the work of Alan Siegel for proof of that within their text. Jesus is claiming to be that second power. And the Jews who converted had no problem because it didn't infringe on monotheism for them. Because for them, the angel is Yahweh. Therefore, he is comparable because they are the same being, but they are two different persons. Sounds a lot like the Trinity and what the New Testament teaches, because it is completely consistent with it. And I'm not doing any eisegesis. I showed you Hebrew, and I showed you highlights of where it shows two Yahwehs. If you learn the language, I'm not talking about the Hebrew language, I mean just learn the language of the multiple persons, you can find the Spirit pretty easily too.
Pretty good. All those slides in just under an hour.
Would you say I cooked?
I would, yes. All is quiet on the
Holy
Western Front, by the
smokes!
way. Yeah, all is quiet on the Western Front. I have put that fire out pretty easily and convincingly, and we went real quiet. So
Nice.
yeah,
Two powers of heaven, baby. Really cool theology. Sets up so much in the New Testament. Because you already have the whole idea of embodied presence of God, walking and talking, except not just a manifestation, now an incarnation. This was not a problem for Jewish theology in the slightest.
no. Which is why the disciples accepted it so readily and easily.
Oh, yeah. There wasn't like that question of like, how does that work? It was already built in there. They're already wrestling. They've been wrestling with that for a while. They were already recognizing. They just kind of accepted it. The one thing they were trying to wrestle with was we have a human who's doing this now. And then that's when Jesus says, "Yeah, the human and the angel." I didn't talk about the other one where you share with me the, I think it's in Ezekiel where the angels described that he's going to be the one that will suffer for others. I think it's Ezekiel. Maybe I'm thinking the wrong one. Um, but like there all those different linkages about how there's that Messiah is coming, but the angels are also one's gonna be doing this, and then the Word gonna be doing this, and all these things tied together, and Jesus just all bundled into one. And it's yeah. For those who watch this, I'll try to do an edited version too, where we don't have the intro and beginning and the end outro. Just also kind of give us some more stuff in our library. Um, if you want to go through that stuff, I mean, it's free. It's the Bible, so just take it. I don't care. Screenshot my slides if you want. Don't screenshot the part where I had first Enoch instead of second Enoch. I'm glad I caught that right away. Like I saw, I was like, first Enoch doesn't say that. That's second Enoch.
Again, props to you for noticing that. I don't know that I would have.
I read a lot of stuff. So many ancient Jewish texts in the past few days. Not enough to be an expert, but enough to be able to find the pieces. I don't know. Might be fun to do Second Temple stuff since that's sometimes a argument thrown against Christians, but that's not a big pressing one right now. Oh, well, I guess. Do you have any thoughts regarding? I mean, I know you were in a debate. Who said bullseye? He said bullseye.
He said
Oh my
bullseye.
god.
Yes, he's saying that we eisegete entirely, and we just pick a spot and say bullseye. It's essentially that.
Ah,
Yeah, no, I shut it down pretty quickly.
you got me. Jesus wasn't made. Wow, 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 wow.
Wow, 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 wow.
Wow, 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 wow.
10 points to anybody who gets that reference.
Dude who walked the earth. No ergo did you rainfall on the planet? Okay. I'm just kind of looking at all this now.
Yep.
Oh, I love that you just kind of quote something. Christianity 101, please know what you attempt to debunk. Something I've been saying to him for a long time.
Yeah. Well, because he said Jesus was a baby but wasn't made, and so I said, "Hey, does the spirit go on after the body dies?" And I waited 5 minutes for him to respond. I'm like, "All right, he's not going to answer the question, so I will." All is quiet on the Western Front. The answer is obviously yes, which means existence is not dependent, upon the physical form, particularly not when it comes to God, who created all physical things and thus has no problem interacting with physical matter. Ah,
I
come on,
don't get.
chaos.
Uh,
Who created all physical things and has no problem interacting with physical matter and creating it. So if God were to take on physical flesh, it wouldn't mean that he came into existence. He would
mm,
pre-exist even the flesh that he takes on. Christianity 101, please know what you attempt to debunk.
mm.
Got to start. Well, actually, I wouldn't recommend pitch meeting at this point, but it's a pitch meeting reference. So,
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, I would argue you're more of the Trinity expert, if you will. Compare it between the two of us. So I guess, do you have any other thoughts or reflections? I know you were in the debate section for the comments, but any
I mean,
thoughts?
I know for the sake of brevity, you didn't go to every passage. There are so many. I
No.
don't think you
I,
touched on my
oh, yeah. So
favorite
many.
one in particular, which is Zechariah 12, because
Mm,
it's so blatantly obvious. Um, oh,
yeah. I tried
they
to
will look
start with the
upon me,
Torah.
whom they have pierced, and they will mourn for him. Like, wait, hang on. They'll look upon me. They'll mourn for him. Same being talked about, different persons. What?
Yeah.
And then how is
I tried
God
to do
pierced?
mostly Torah to start with. Yeah.
Huh?
We did that too, didn't we? Did that one in
Yeah, we did.
your messianic one though,
In
didn't we?
mine. Yep.
We did at
Yeah.
least cover it once.
Yeah, no, I know. So, but still, it's my favorite. Like, so blatantly obvious change of person. It's like, oh wow, he fully just went and did the thing, all in one sentence. And he even mentions about the fact that he's going to be pierced. So like,
Yeah. Like I said, I started with a lot of the Torah because I don't remember if any Jews still debate over the rest of the Tanakh. But be like, look, if it's in the first five, then anyone who says otherwise, you got a problem because this is like the pillar of the rest of everything else. So let's start here. And so, but yeah, there's so many other references I could have mentioned, but yeah, I didn't know if you had any other thoughts that you want to throw in there, along with the Zechariah one, because Trinity's been more of your topic for a while, and um, I've talked almost the entire stream, so I just kind of want to give you a chance to throw some things in if you wanted, or we can just go straight to chill time.
yeah, no, it's definitely more your area of expertise. So
Straight to chill time.
I'm good with that.
Well, I mean, eh.
Honestly, I have to pee right now. Is my focus.
Oh, go pee then.
Well, I've had to pee since like
Go
8:30,
pee.
but I didn't want to miss anything if there was any place I could jump in. But I just decided,
Yeah,
yeah, why
sorry.
not go?
I was trying to leave spots, but I was also trying to stay
No,
true to my time. So
I was gonna say I would rather you had gone as interrupted as you did because you definitely cooked. So
I cook very rarely, and when I do, sometimes it works.
yeah, I commented to the other to a buddy a little bit ago that I was cooking Jews, and yeah, I didn't hear it until after he sent back a gif of the Fallout guy. You know, the hold up, and I was like, wait, no, 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 no,
Oh,
nope,
poor,
nope,
poor choice of words.
nope. Yeah, no, that
Oh
was a
man.
foot in mouth moment right there.
Well,
All right,
why
I'm
don't you
gonna.
go pee? For anyone who's in the chat, if you want to throw questions about the topic we talked about out there, or comments
I
on
want
it,
to mute
reflections,
myself
or if
rather
you
than.
want to change topics briefly, something theological or something lighthearted, feel free to just throw it in the chat. I'm here to respond for the next little bit. Fallout mention. Yeah, Fallout. Okay, first off, do you know what Fallout is? 'Cause I know some people don't know what Fallout is. While I wait for that, I'm gonna pull it up. Um, Let me know, Chaos. If you know what Fallout is, I'll pull up the meme in a second. All right, I got it. So, I haven't heard anything yet. But that's fine. So, Fallout it's a game. Just in case anyone doesn't know, and there's a meme where like the I can say like the iconic figure you get in like a lot of like the promotions, and then within the game itself of like this blonde guy, this blonde white guy in this blue jacket. Um, yeah, I had a friend who loved Fallout. I never played it, but I know. But yeah, he mentioned that religion plays a lot into it. I might get into it one day. I just need time, and that doesn't exist right now. So the Fallout meme is effectively when you have the Fallout character, does this thing where he's bending down, his hands are up, he's like, hold up, hold up, hold up. So when Caleb said he was cooking Jews, his friend sent this, and that's what he's referring to right there. Um, I might. There's some games I've been told I would like. I first off, if I'm going to get back into Xbox, my Xbox still works fine, but one, I need time, and two, I need to consider if I need to upgrade my Xbox. And so if I do that, then I'll get the newest, I'll get the games, and if not, then I won't. But I might check it out. I just need time first. Talking about Fallout.
Yeah, never played. Don't really have any plans to.
Yeah, I was just saying I haven't played it. I might do it. I need time.
You know,
Caleb, you look
Chaos,
comfortable.
I am pretty comfortable. I have a freshly emptied bladder, so pretty chill.
The lore is in the Fallout universe is crazy. Yeah, I had a roommate. He's in video game design. That's what his degree is right now, and that's a game he likes. It's fun. So his homework
I'm sorry. It's
is
just I have
what
thoughts about college and the degree programs that people go into, but that's a rant for another
I
time. Which, if
yeah
I had a
that
nickel for every time today I've said that's a rant for another time about, yes, you did, Chaos. It's valuable information. Uh, if I've if I had a nickel for every time I used the phrase if "that's a rant for another time" today, I'd have three nickels, which is kind of a lot. Josh has gone silent.
I was responding to my girlfriend.
Ew.
I'm responding to someone else because it's regarding my mother's phone that went missing. Hmm.
That's another rant for next time, same bat channel. That's a good reference.
I should just make up another channel. It's called Caleb's Rants.
Dude,
And you can just like
it would
whenever you're
have
like
no
frustrated, you just turn it
subscribers.
on, just scream, and you just rant for however long you want, and then just
I was gonna
leave.
say it would have no subscribers and 300 videos a week.
That'd be the best part. It'd be just you just either ranting to your phone or whatever, and it'd be just straight up your rants. And you probably would get someone because it'd be someone who would love like the ranting itself. Maybe not necessarily what you're ranting about, but just the fact that someone's ranting.
I mean,
You probably would
ranting
get a
does get
faster
traction.
following. You probably get a faster following than we do if you did
I was
that.
gonna say ranting does get traction on the internet.
Okay, new marketing scheme. You build your ranting channel, and then as you build it, you send people over to us.
I Oh
Rant about
no!
you.
Oh,
Yeah, felt great. Loved it. Loved it.
oh, that neck crack was awful. Oh, it was audible, and it was worse in my headphones because I heard it in my soul. Oh, rants. Where we're going, we don't need rants. Chaos off the top rope with some great references today.
When we're going. Oh, I just got. I didn't realize you put another comment. I was reading it. Another wonderful word I'm looking for. Reference. I was about to say rental. That's not the right word at all.
Where did that even come from?
Combined rants and reference and got Rent. A terrible musical.
True. All about gay AIDS.
I
Oh,
mean,
that's redundant.
that reminded me of last night. That was so poor timing. You remember now?
Oh yes.
I'll tell him. Last night we were recording our podcast for Monday, and usually Caleb has his headphones plugged in. But when he doesn't have them in his ears, he can't hear him. So I saw I didn't have him in, but I didn't know that at first. I said, "The gayest man I've ever seen," and then I realized he didn't have his headphones. I was like, "Oh, okay." So my hem thing, oh, he didn't have him on. And then I said, "This dude's gonna get totally violated because he always complains about my microphone being so loud when he puts his earbuds in. 'Cause he forgets to adjust it." But he didn't know that I didn't know that didn't have headphones in. So he actually heard, and what he heard is, "That's the gayest man I've ever seen. He's about to get totally violated." Whereas in my head, I was like processing really quickly what was happening, and he just heard only those things because I thought he couldn't hear me, and I was like, "Oh shoot, he can't hear me," and I was like, "He's gonna complain," and but he heard all of it and did not get the context.
I'm not really
It's
sure
a
why you
hospital.
referenced airplane there, Chaos, but you did, and I do appreciate airplane, but that was really random, bro. Also, come on, Chaos. It's a hospital. What is it? Not what's a hospital. Come on. Come on. What are we doing
May the
here?
ranch be with you.
Come
Oh,
on.
find it. It's gonna be back here.
Oh, I don't need to do
No,
content moderation
back
anymore.
here. No, you don't need to. You're good. What in blue blazes? Oh, there it is.
I'll say it is funny to me how we got real quiet real
This book I
fast.
referenced at the very end. So here's the one I was referring to. Alan Siegel's Two Powers of Heaven. Uh, the fun part is the subheading: Early rabbinic reports about Christianity and Gnosticism.
What do you call an aquatic bird that
Um,
flies over a bay? A bagel.
Gay. I know. I just feel like there's no other one in
It's a
there.
bagel. You're like seagull, bagel. Josh, stop texting your girlfriend.
Sorry, I have to figure something out with her. Fine, fine. You're right. Stream time. Stream time. Okay, Caleb. Here's what I'm thinking. I think I can say this because we're at. If anyone's staying on after the presentation, that I don't know why they're here, honestly,
Chaos is just
other
here to
than
make
for
movie
chill time.
references.
Um, Here's what I propose. I do any final cleaning up I feel like is necessary because there's some albums where I know like this would be the better way to do it in terms of its structure and how it actually works. But I kind of purposely make some parts iffy because it's kind of part of the digging, like kind of the dig at Muhammad. What if we did like an announcement video that it was? our announcement for us going into Islam. We had an announcement video, and it was my track,
No, no, no.
and
Hang
then
on.
we
Hang on. No, we can do that after February 14th. After.
what I was just gonna say is that mine was just the introduction to it all, and then your project for February 14th can get its beautiful day because we've already set up everything for it. Or would you?
I would rather honestly.
Okay, do the not do
This
that.
I was gonna say this was no offense to you, but this is my brainchild. This is
I
my
know it
baby.
is,
This is my
but
baby.
it was gonna be part of the whole setting up. Fine, we'll do it as the concluding for the month.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that. I think that's a good path as well. Again, if it were not the thing that I had come to me at like 10:30 on a Friday, which is pretty
Technically,
sure
it's
what,
not quite your brainchild. IP did it first
but it is also my brainchild in that I am
for
the
our
one
channel.
that introduced it here, right on our platform.
Sure. No, I get that. It's not me trying to take that away.
And also, honestly, I truthfully hadn't even thought of IP's thing when I was thinking of it. I just
Your what
noticed
thing?
something I hadn't thought of IPs when I was making my project.
Oh,
That honestly hadn't come to me at all. And it was only like it was actually like a few days later that I was like, "Oh wait, yeah, that's something that he did too. He did the same project."
yeah.
Um
It was not me trying to take thunder away from you. It was me more like
no, no, no.
just
I
teeing
get that
up.
too, but it's like I don't know.
Okay, the new
Because
idea.
also
New idea.
the gimmick just works, right? Because you're getting the which I came up with a new term by the way, doxwa instead of just dawa. It's doxwa. Um, Working on another project with that. I'll get back to you on it. Um,
We gotta figure out what our project's gonna look like for Muslim Muslim February.
well, I don't know. 'Cause here's the thing. I want to still release mine on February 14th because it just works.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
I also want to. Okay, so Ramadan is begins on February 18th.
Yeah,
So I want to then launch. I don't necessarily want to do the whole month Islam. I want to actually kind of do, and this is not something I approached you about, but I want to do Ramadan Islam,
okay.
right? Because like they have been harassing and pelting Christians like really intensely, like legitimately
Mm,
trying to get us killed.
mm-hmm.
Which also I'm gonna film a little outro after my project to be like Muslims, you can get this to stop if you stop. Right? Like we already have a couple projects lined up. They are going to come out. But you can get this to stop. You can get us to stop if you stop. Ramadan is the holy month in Islam. Chaos. Ramadan is their holiest month. They do fasting, and I put that in air quotes because really it's just eating food for 12 hours and then not eating food for 12 hours, which
Yeah.
most people call feasting and then sleeping. That's what most people call it. But in Islam, it's called fasting. So, like, tons of diabetes and, like, food related uh, medical incidents, like, spike during Ramadan. Like, it must be awful to work in a hospital during Ramadan because you're just getting tons of, like, indigestion and overeating and all of this junk. But yeah, anyway, so I want to film that after the video and be like, we will stop when you stop, and if you don't stop, we won't stop. And so like
Okay.
I also had an idea for David Wood's challenge.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'd have to get permission from work,
Okay.
but if I can do it, that'd be great.
Okay.
We'll
I'm
talk
guessing you're
about
gonna
it.
keep it cryptic for right now.
We are for right now, yeah, just because we're on camera. But when we hop off, I'll tell you about it.
Well, we just gotta figure out, I guess, what we wanna. Okay. All right, we gotta figure out how we want to actually structure this. And since you're more the Muslim expert, I'll defer to you a
I
little
think
bit
expert's a little strong, but yeah.
between the two of us.
Hmm.
Like that's more because it's polemic. That's more your field. Um, anyways, I had another idea because of our two ideas.
Okay.
What if we make what? So what if for after this month, next month, when we do another religion or cult for a month, we make up another one for
I had
them.
that thought too. I had that thought too, and come up with a new project there. Um, I had that thought too. I was trying to kick around a religion that might work.
I have one.
BHI
Okay.
could be really fun. That could be really fun.
That I was thinking that, or we could. So I didn't intend it this way, but it could be a fun way to do this. You remember in my project, I reference another cult. If you heard it, right? It makes a reference to Mormonism, and it's
Yes,
like
yes, okay, yes. I forgot about that. Yes, yes. Your project references
so.
Mormon.
One thing that'd be kind of funny would be if we hinted what the next project was going to be in
Oh,
that project
in one
and
of the
refers
projects. Yeah.
to. So I was saying like if we did what mine, it would say Mormonism is the next month, and
Oh,
it just becomes a keep
yeah,
announcing
yeah, yeah.
for like what the next
I
project
like
is for the
it. I
month.
like it. So what we can do? So Ramadan Islam. We can start with my project, cap off with yours, and
Yep.
that'll lead us into our next cult,
Yeah.
which will be
So the question is, do we
Mormonism.
want to start following that track after this month, or do we want to follow that after the next month because you had BHI already in mind?
No, no, I don't have any specific thing for BHI, and given that you would already be referencing Mormonism, I think that'd be a great topic to tackle.
We just have a and we just need and because we have a whole month because we already done a lot of Islam before, like enough that we can prep a little quicker for that. It gives us a little time just to kind of pull things together
Hmm.
for that, so we're a little more informed and not seeming like one of those like, oh, they believe this, and they come in like, no, we don't.
Yeah.
That's not an official teaching. That's something that was to
You
be
mean what
projected aloud.
Yehuda's you mean what Yehuda's been doing this whole month?
Oh, I know.
He's telling
More
us what we
so,
believe and we don't believe that?
meaning more like the
No,
like
I know
if
what you
you
mean.
actually talk to a Mormon, you would know this is not what they actually believe.
Yeah.
Um,
Ugh, time to get real familiar with Jeff Durbin.
Jeff Durbin.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Ruslan did an interview with the main Muslim apologist. I forgot his name. Um, like just
Muhammad Hijab,
no, sorry, not Muslim.
Sheikh
Mormon.
Uthman.
Oh,
Oh,
Mormon. My
Mormon.
bad. I split my.
Um,
I think you know what I'm talking about. It's that blonde,
there's
really short kind of beard. Let me find it.
honestly, that description does not
I know. I
match for
in my
anything.
head it worked, but then I realized it wasn't really helpful.
Okay.
That was my fault.
Usually is.
I know. I know. This guy right here. I don't know if you ever seen him before.
I haven't.
Oh, okay. So he's like one of the leading guys, and his entire is works with his channel's Thoughtful Faith, and there's an entire like interview that Ruslan does with him. So like that's also a resource. So Durbin and them, and then also their texts and their texts. I mean, their ridiculous translation. and then their extra texts. Here's an easy one to throw out there. They reject inerrancy just from the outgo. So
Well, yeah, because if
your
they
entire
affirm inerrancy, then
you raise your
right,
message.
right.
That could be a thing, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Um, but the point is they don't even accept inerrancy for their own text. So like that already shows like, and Ruslan was asking like, what's an
Well,
official teaching? And that point is like, how can you trust what's an official teaching if you can't trust what the text is? How do you know what
right.
is correct
Well,
and what is
because
not?
the issue is you have so many things that Mormonism is so much a product of its time, and you get like this kind of reformation that happens in the LDS, where you get this schism between fundamentalist LDS,
Right.
which holds to all of the things that we like to make fun of, the multiple wives, the racism, etc., and kind of reformed LDS. I don't know if there's a specific, well, Mormon, right? So Mormons. You get LDS and you get Mormon. The Mormons, the fundamentalists, do that, and then LDS. Oh, chaos! We will get into Mormon theology of heaven, my friend. It's a wild ride. Fun fact: I will be one of the few people, according to Mormonism, that goes to hell because I have spoken against Mormonism. Now we will get into the soteriological and uh, not quite eschatological, but systematic.
What's
That's
nice
the
is
word I'm looking for. The more systematic side of
what's nice
Mormonism.
too is we have someone in our group who actually kind of wants to learn more about because they're going to Utah soon, later this year.
Ooh.
Just wants to have some things in her back pocket, so you can say, hey, go watch our streams, and wait for our special project.
Again, I think that one. I think that'd be really. That'd be a good one.
I like the
Come
idea
on.
of having a special project at the end of the month with a reference, like either like blatant or kind of cryptic, and then bam, that's our project for the next month. Oh, no, you're already typing to me. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so studio chat. Mm.
Oh, yeah. No, I think we can definitely do something with that. With
I'm gonna
Mormonism
laugh
in
if
general.
this is how we get more traction. The stupid song, well, stupid projects.
Yeah, all this stupid stuff.
Yeah,
As you so eloquently put it. All this stupid stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Um,
chaos. I know what I'm gonna do next.
Kiev already has it in his mind, ready to go. He's already ready. He's
Josh knows
thinking
because I
2 months
just.
ahead.
Oh, I am
Best part
thinking
is this.
years ahead, my guy.
Caleb's thinking. I'm thinking
Galaxies
months
ahead.
ahead for like our Friday projects. You're thinking months ahead for our Thursday streams. Okay, here's the question. For the last for the day of those projects released, should they be released the last day of the month or the first day of the next month?
Say that again.
Because not all like we wouldn't always like you will still have time usually from the first till the unless it's like the first is the Thursday, you have time. So
Hmm.
the question is, those special projects are they released like they're gonna be released towards the end, right? We kind of already agreed on that. But let's say it was like we released towards like the last day of the month, the first day of the next month because of the little Easter egg, a couple days before the end of the month.
Okay. I think probably towards the end of the month, truthfully. Like,
Well, I know towards the end. I wasn't sure if it should be like the last day or a couple days before the last day
no, I'm thinking like that last Saturday, probably.
for most of them. Just do it that
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Cool.
Like I'm thinking.
That's
So
that's our Saturday releases.
yeah, that's other
Guess it
special
does fall under
projects,
special.
man.
It does fall under special projects. It does, doesn't it?
Yeah. Um, Chaos off the top rope with another random movie reference. Mr. Anderson. By the way, I've been looking into how to make my project a reality.
I need to look into how to make mine with yours too. So
Because
that way it's
the difficulty is finding one where I can make it a video and it doesn't try to do the whole thing for me. Right? Because I'm very happy with the progress that we have right now on the project, and I prefer to stay it as it is. Because as it is, I go around my house like actively engaging in the project,
I've
and
just been
so
engaged in my with my project in the car.
yes, yeah, no, so
Both of them are being engaged with in my car. This sounds really weird. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do it this.
nope, nope, nope,
Thank you
leave
for
it.
joining us for the stream. If you enjoyed this, like, comment, and subscribe, and join us for our
Hang on.
next one.
I can
Next
do a
week it
better
will
outro
be.
than that. Hang on. We'd like to thank
I'm
you all
trying to
so
get
very much for
to a stream of
watching,
thoughts.
and we would like you to use your power to hit the like and subscribe button. Join us here on the community if you somehow made it this far. Uh,
What?
you should be looking to you should be looking forward to the projects that are upcoming. We have a lot of special stuff, Lord willing, coming down the pipeline.
What?
And if there's anything that you have, and I'm going to completely ignore him, if there's anything that you have on your heart or in your mind that you really would like to know more about, please let us know in the comments below, as we'd really appreciate some feedback there. With all that said, guys, we appreciate you watching, and Lord willing, see you in the next one. Peace.